dragons to get bored. The war had already reached out and maimed the king's own circle. In that same invasion, Oris Baratheon, the conqueror's oldest friend, his first hand, the victor of the last storm, led a column up the Boneway, and the wills fell on it from the heights. Boulders, then spears, then silence. Oris was taken alive. His captor, the lord they called the Will of Will, held him for years, and when the ransom in gold was finally paid, sent the hand of the king home without his sword hand, so that no man of that column would ever raise a blade against Dawn again. Hold on to the shape of this. No battle you could name, no field you could point to, and the second most powerful man in the realm came home mutilated. Then, 2 years after Aegon declared victory, Dawn rose, not in one place, everywhere, all at once, on what might as well have been a single signal. The garrisons the dragons left behind were slaughtered in the night. Every castle that had yielded, unyielded, and the 2 men Aegon had left to run his newest kingdom got endings that tell you everything about what kind of war this had become. Lord Rosby, Castellan of Sunspear, was taken by the Dornish, and the blind, gout-ridden 80-something Princess Meria had him thrown from a window at the top of the spear tower. The histories remember it with a straight face as the defenestration of Sunspear. Lord Harlan Tyrell, the man the Field of Fire had made Lord of Highgarden, marched his entire army into the deep sands to put the rising down. The histories last place him and his whole host in the dunes near the Hellholt. They marched into the desert. They never came out. No battle recorded. No bodies found. An army of the Reach, deleted by geography. Mark that name, by the way. The Hellholt. The desert around that castle has now swallowed an army. It is not finished. And so the First Dornish War settled into the shape Meria had designed for it. The dragons would come. The castles would fall. The dragons would leave. The castles would rise. A dragon can burn a fortress in an afternoon, but a dragon cannot garrison one. Fire takes, it cannot hold. For 6 years the Targaryens won every engagement the Dornish refused to have, and lost the war a little more each season. Poisoned wells, ambushed columns, a kingdom of knives that would not stand still long enough to die. Which brings us to the 10th year after the conquest. The war is 6 years old, and Queen Rhaenys, who once heard a blind woman promise her that Dorne would never bow, is flying Meraxes back across the sands to burn the strongholds one more time. Her route takes her up the River Brimstone to a sandstone fortress belonging to a house that even other Dornishmen tell dark jokes about, the Ullers. Half of them are half mad, the saying goes, and the other half are worse. Their seat is called the Hellholt, and this, at last, is where the story of the second greatest dragon in the world ends. Understand the machine that's waiting on those walls, because it is almost insultingly simple. A scorpion, an oversized crossbow on an iron mount, 2 arms, a windlass, and a bolt of forged iron about a yard long. Any competent smith can build one. Any strong crew can crank one. It is the cheapest anti-dragon weapon that will ever exist. And until this day, no one in Westeros had proof it could do anything to a dragon but annoy it. Because Dragonscale laughs at arrows. That's the whole covenant of dragon warfare. The thing that made 3 dragons worth more than 100,000 swords. A grown dragon is armored the way a castle is walled. There is exactly one gap in that armor big enough to matter, and it is the one part of a dragon that must stay soft because the dragon has to see, the eye. On that day in the 10th year, Meraxes came in over the Hellholt low. Why low? The honest answer is, the histories don't say. So take this as a reading, not a record. She flew low because 6 years of this war had taught her rider that nothing in Dawn could touch her. There were no enemy dragons on this continent. There was nothing in the sky at all. So many of the dragons we've buried on this channel died the same way at the root. The moment its rider stops believing anything can reach them. Somewhere on those battlements, a crew wound a scorpion. A man, a soldier, a guardsman, maybe just an Ulla retainer with steady hands, laid the sight on a target the size of a keep moving across the sky, and picked the one soft place on it, and loosed one bolt through the right eye into whatever a dragon keeps behind it, and the second greatest dragon in the world, the siege engine with a heartbeat, the beast that swallowed war horses, 1/3 of the fire that took a continent in 2 years, simply stopped being airborne. Meraxes fell. The histories say her death throes came down on the castle itself, and stone that dragonfire never touched was smashed by dragon instead. The fall wrecking tower and wall as she died. The title of this video says an arrow, because that's how the story gets told around fires. The record says a scorpion bolt, a yard of iron, and a wooden machine. I want the exactness, because the exactness is the horror. Balerion needed the passage of centuries. Vhagar needed the most famous dragon duel ever fought. Meraxes needed one moving part, and a man whose name nobody wrote down. In the 300 years the Targaryens flew dragons over Westeros, beasts were wounded from the ground before and after. The gullet proved arrows could bleed them, as we've shown you. But a full-grown dragon killed stone dead in the open sky by a single shot, by most maesters' reckoning, happened exactly once. You just watched it. The Ullars did what desert people do with everything. They used it. The greatest kill in the history of Dawn was stripped and kept. And the skull, a skull the size of a farmhouse, with a bolt hole where the right eye had been, became a trophy in the halls of a house even other Dornishmen call half-mad. Remember where that skull is sitting. In 3 years, it is going to be carried the length of a continent to end a war. Nobody knew. That's the engine of everything that follows. Not grief, uncertainty,